Hi guys, today I have a special guest with me. You may know him. I've talked about him a lot. If you know him, you'll love him. Brrr, it's my husband David. Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Okay, how are you?
I'm okay. So we thought about getting on and talking about the side of the caregiver, and just talk about your experiences and what you've been through during all of this. So, I guess we could start with what was it like for you the day that they found my tumor?
Well, terrible. I always try to stay positive, so I was like, it's nothing, and I wanted to remain positive about the whole thing. So, as far as the initial diagnosis, I was like, oh, they found something, could be nothing. The cancer was like the last thing in my mind.
Really?
Yeah. I thought, maybe you whacked your head at work and it was like blood clots or something, or it was like a early stage aneurysm, anything besides
Right.
cancer, And that's not what I was thinking at all. And they didn't have that cancer diagnosis for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was like a week or something,
Yeah.
because they referred you to Mayo, and then they sent all your scans over, and then we finally had that video conference. It was like a week or a week and a half after.
Yeah.
So
It was.
I was adamant that it was going to be nothing, that it was fatty tissue, something,
Sure.
But I guess the day that everything, came down, and drove 90 miles an hour across town to come and see you at the emergency room because, you texted me help.
Right.
Freaked me out, and I was like, what's going on? So I raced across town, and, I ended up leaving because your mom showed up, and there could only be one person in at a time because of COVID and everything. So I went back to work, and I was like, she's going to be fine, going to get discharged, everything. And then you called me, and you were on the anti-anxiety medication that they put you on, and you're like, hey, I got a tumor. And I was like, what? So, I immediately hit the floor when you said that. It's kind of a blow, I didn't know what to think. It's just somebody says they have a tumor, and that's scary. So,
Yeah.
But picked myself up, brushed myself off, and made sure that I kept your spirits up as best I could. And then I had to wait 4 hours in the lobby of the hospital because they didn't want to let me in to stay the night with you.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Yeah.
Standing
It was
there
really
with
4 hours?
Yeah, I was standing there with your go bag. It might have been 2 hours.
Okay.
But I was standing there with your overnight bag and waiting. And people were coming in, and they were like, oh, I have this to do. And they let them right in, and they didn't want to let me in for some reason. I think it was because your mom was still in there.
Probably.
But yeah, they didn't really want to let me in. So that night was when you really wanted to get married.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. Even with everything going on, you were just like, let's get married.
Yep.
So that was pretty neat.
Yeah. We've been together for so long, and we always just put off marriage. Like, yeah, it doesn't really matter, but it does matter.
It does. Yeah.
What about when I went to Rochester for my brain surgeries?
I drove you.
You did?
It was 8 hours straight through.
Yep.
All the way there. And, the drive is boring.
It is.
It's all flat South Dakota until you get to Minnesota, and then everything smells like fish pond.
Yeah.
So rolling into Minnesota, it's like, oh, you're here. But, we had trouble finding that hotel at first, and then...
Mm-hmm. Sorry, our cat's being a psycho in the background.
And then we finally got booked at a Holiday Inn, and it was just one room with 2 queen-size beds, and sleeping with your mom next to us who snores really loud. So that was all interesting.
Yeah.
And I only got to go with you on the one appointment.
Yep, that first initial appointment where they showed us the first MRI images and stuff. They let both you and my mom be with me.
And then from there on, your mom only got to go with you because of COVID. Again. And I just remember waiting in the hotel room, you know, day after day, just like waiting for you to get back and let me know what was going on, and just biding my time until I got some information. And then the day that you went in for your surgeries, you were out for 5 hours under anesthesia, and I was watching ridiculousness on TV, trying to laugh and not being able to, and just feeling anxious about the whole thing, because that's a really long time to be put under. So it's like, you know, what could go wrong type of thing. But he pulled through. He did a really good job.
Yeah.
They got 3 pieces of the tumor.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, they got 3 pieces of the tumor, and then they did your brain ventricle surgery.
Is that what it was called?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Where they poked a hole in between because your spinal fluid wasn't draining properly.
Right.
You know, that's a lot of surgery for 5 hours, one day.
It is.
So it was just like nail biting the whole day, and I was trying to sleep too because I wasn't sleeping at all at that point. So nobody was in there in the hotel room. Right. So just trying to crash out. I think your mom waited at the hospital pretty much the whole time.
She did? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought she went back to the hotel a bit.
She did for an hour or 2 at one point, and then she raced back over there.
Yeah.
You know, because she was waiting. She was like, wanted to be there as soon as you got out, as soon as you woke up, so that you saw a familiar face when you woke up.
Yeah.
You know.
Which she succeeded, because the first thing I remember when I woke up was seeing my mom. So that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, she tried really hard to make that happen, and she did. So
yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then after all of that, I think it was 2 days after your surgery, or a day and a half even, we headed back to South Dakota and, you know, got everything sorted out here, and we're waiting to hear about your team and, you know, everything that's associated with that, you know, what type of treatment you're going to do. Is it chemo? Was it radiation? Was it everything? And we were going at them really hard trying to get you right away into clinical trials, which they just don't do.
Yeah.
You know, so they were like, no, you have to do all of the traditional medicine first, and then you can go in and actually get the clinical trial started. You're still not in any clinical trials. You're just... Not technically. Yeah, you're just on a drug that was part of a clinical trial.
Yes, I am currently doing... Essentially what they told me is that I don't qualify for a clinical trial, mostly because I'm an adult, is what I've gotten from it. And they're mostly doing the trials on children right now. But what I'm currently doing is the same thing that they're doing in these clinical trials. I'm just not part of the trial. Which I think is silly, because they can gain information from me. The whole medical thing is crazy, you guys.
Yeah. And while we were here, back from after your surgery, your mom was really going hard at finding an Airbnb that you guys could stay at while you were out there. And I ended up using all of my vacation time, all of my sick time, plus all of the COVID time, the leave, because I was caretaking for someone who was high risk, is the reason that they gave it to me. So I had literally no extra time to come back out there with you, and you're going to be gone for 6 weeks.
Right.
It's a long time.
And actually, I ended up being gone for more like 7.5.
Because of delays and stuff with different parts of your treatment and everything.
Yep.
But while you were here, we kind of settled back down a little bit, and, you know, my number one job is always to keep you happy, keep your spirits up, make sure that you know that we're going to fight this together, not by yourself. So that's a big deal for me. It always has been.
Yeah. You do a really good job.
Thanks. So after you and your mom left, Carl loaded to the brim with stuff. Yep. I don't think we could have fit one more thing in there.
My mom and I are a little bit particular, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We like our own pillows and things.
Yeah. Yeah, so after you had all of your comforts loaded up, you headed back out, and I sat here and twiddled my thumbs for a little while, like, what was I going to do? Luckily, my job let me work 4 10-hour days so that I could have my 40-hour weeks. And then I left every Friday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and headed right out to Rochester for the whole 7 weeks. Yep. Well, I think it was more like 6 weekends.
Mm-hmm. I think there was one weekend where something happened that you couldn't come. Yeah. Something with work.
I don't remember if it was work or something else, but yeah, I missed 1 week. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that was really hard, but at the same time, I really didn't want to come back to the house and be by myself and dwelling on things that would or should happen. So working 10-hour days just kind of distracted me enough to the point where, I just wasn't worrying as much either.
Right.
And then those long 8-hour drives every weekend. So I would go up Fridays at 4 o'clock in the morning. I would stay Friday night, Saturday night, and leave Sunday night so that I could be back to work on Monday. I put, I want to say, 10,000 miles on my car, something like that.
Yeah.
But at least it's a brand new car.
Right.
It's only a couple of years old. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really glad that you were able to come and be with me every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
You're running so much while you're there, and you're doing so much that, like, life feels like a whirlwind of craziness. And so then it would be like on Fridays, like, I felt like I was at work all week because, like, by Friday afternoon I was like, oh, I'm done with the week. Busy. I'm done with the week, thank goodness. And then it was like, David's gonna be here, when's he gonna get here? And I'm like watching out the window. And so it was really nice that you were able to come and see me pretty much every weekend.
Right.
And a lot of my friends and family were able to come with you sometimes. We had friends come with, or they came out separately on their own, and you were also there. And so...
Well, and you have a lot of family in Minnesota.
I do have a lot of family in Minnesota. I'm really lucky that I do, actually, because I was able to see a lot of them that I hadn't gotten to see in a while, or, because of life, you just get busy. And
cousins and uncles.
And so that was really cool, too. There was never a weekend in Rochester where I was alone, which was huge.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Got to take your mind off of it a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, it felt like at the end of Friday, it was like my work week was over, and I was like, oh, thank God it's the weekend, and I don't have to go in and do radiation tomorrow or whatever, and I get to see David, and I get to see so-and-so this weekend, and so that was pretty cool.
Made it a lot nicer.
Mm-hmm. What has it been like since I've been back home?
I don't want to say that it's like back to normal routine because nothing's normal anymore.
It's not.
But, it's a lot less of a worry because you're not states away. Wouldn't have to fly, 800 miles to come and see you, or if something went wrong, things like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress off of me because I'm not working those 10-hour days and I'm not driving that far anymore.
True.
So, I mean, that was really nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've tried to make you coming back as normal as possible because I don't want you to feel like everything's abnormal.
Sure.
And even before you left, you said that you didn't want the house changed a lot and, all that type of stuff, which didn't end up happening because of relatives.
Yeah.
But it's just, you want to get back into like a groove and you want to have, like you were saying, you want to have a schedule, that type of stuff. So I try to kind of come off like nothing is wrong and, obviously keep your spirits up if something's weighing you down and something's weighing you down a lot, but I just try and keep you happy,
Yeah.
you know.
And you do a good job. I mean, there are some days where it almost gets frustrating for me because I'm like, no, like, David, like, this is serious. Like, this is really crummy. And, like, can you just admit that it's crummy with me? But then I think about it and I'm like, no, him staying positive and keeping my spirits up. It's not like you're denying it.
No.
But you staying somewhat positive and keeping my spirits up has been really huge.
Good.
Really.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm like, no, just admit that it sucks. And then it's like, okay, no, your positivity is a good thing. It helps me stay positive. Because there are a lot of times where I'm just like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And I definitely cry more to you than anybody else.
Well, I'm around the most.
Well, true.
You know.
But you're also the person I feel the most comfortable crying to.
Sure.
So, yeah, there are days when I don't try to hold in my emotions, but there are days where I'm just like, I'm fine. I'm fine. And then when you get home, it's like when I see you, I'm like, I'm not fine, David, help me.
Yeah. There's been a couple of days where I got home from work and you smile at me and then you just immediately start crying and you're really upset because you don't want that to be a thing where you're just emotional whenever you see me and that type of thing. But I've told you before, you just need to let it out sometimes. You know, you hold in the waterworks too long and it becomes a flood.
Yeah. So it does.
You know, if you need to cry, if you want me to hold you while you cry, you can do that.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. Is there any other advice you have for other caregivers out there?
You never know what each day is going to be like. So you kind of have to be very flexible, be prepared for any eventuality. You know, the person you're taking care of might be extremely happy one second and then just breaking down the next. And you have to be able to change with that. You can't shut off your own emotions too much because then you're just going to become cold and used to ignoring problems like that. So you really have to be flexible and keep up with the person who has the issues because they're your number one priority. You know, it's either, well, I mean, it's not either, it's getting them better. You know, you want them to feel better, you want them to be better, you want them to hopefully beat cancer. You know, that's
the goal.
That's the goal. So, you know, I'm doing everything I can to help her beat cancer. So, if all that I can do is keep her spirits sky high, then that's what I can do. And that's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Is there anything more that, like, do you wish that I would ask you to do more?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean...
Because I know that people really enjoy the feeling of being able to help. Like, that's a thing. People want to help, you know, and they enjoy being able to help.
Mm-hmm. It's all feeling out the person that you're helping because sometimes they want to wallow, sometimes they need to cry, and you need to let that happen. You can't, you know, it's a very fluid thing. Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to redirect your emotions and your comfort and your caregiving to what they need.
Sure.
So.
And I think something that I've thought of for caregivers is don't be afraid to ask the person what they want or need.
Yeah.
You know, because we know each other so well. We've been together so long that you really are intuitive to what I need. Mm-hmm. But for some people, it may not be that way. And so I think a big thing is don't be afraid to ask the person what they need or what they want help with. I've had that with other people in my life now where they try to help, but they just don't know how. And so the easiest thing is for me to just tell them straight up how to help me. Mm-hmm. Can you buy me groceries? Can you meal prep for me? Can you do any of that stuff for me? Just being direct with people, I think, is huge.
Right. I guess another thing is try to avoid saying the wrong things.
Okay.
Because I'm not necessarily with myself, but with other people, I've noticed that you can when you're having a moment and people are trying to comfort you and they're blaming this or blaming that, it's not helpful.
It's not.
So that would be another thing, it's don't play the blame game. That you don't know why she's dizzy or why they have a headache or anything like that. So don't try and blame it on something. Just be like, I'm sorry that you're feeling this way, and just give them a hug.
Yeah.
Because it's, the only thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Ask them if they want some Tylenol or something, but
yeah,
that's about the only thing you can do. If you start trying to blame this, that, or the other thing, then it's going to be annoying, and it's trying to redirect isn't exactly the best
all the time
option.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I forgot what I was going to say. Along the lines of that, yeah, just letting that person know that you're there and that you're monitoring them. Because for me, when I feel a new symptom, like dizziness or headaches, it gets scary. Mm-hmm. And so just knowing that you're there, and if something goes wrong, you're there to help me take care of it, is the biggest thing.
Right.
I don't need, like you said, I don't need somebody to be like, well, maybe it's because you didn't eat enough today, blah, 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 blah. Even though that could be the truth.
It is possible.
Just knowing that someone's there, that I know if stuff goes south, you're on it like Comet. Mm-hmm. That's huge. Mm-hmm. So I think just letting people know that you're there for them is big.
Right.
So
I guess the only other thing is if your loved one or the person you're caregiving is on a special diet, really try to embrace that. Because if you're really obtuse about it and you're going out and buying burgers and that type of stuff and bringing it home and they're having to eat this, not necessarily crummy meal, but not what they're used to or not what they absolutely want, because obviously she still wants burgers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's rude. And that's just not nice.
Sure.
So, take your cheat meals at lunch or something when you're at work. Like a lot of Fridays I'll go out to Culver's or Jimmy John's or whatever and just eat it outside of the house.
Sure. Sure. So. Hey, with my funky diet, I can eat at Jimmy John's, so we should go out together for Jimmy John's.
Okay.
So, but I do miss Culver's, you guys. If you're a Midwesterner, you know it. If you're not, I'm sorry. All right. Anything else that you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. So we're just trying to give some people some understanding and meet the good-looking husband that I keep talking about.
Hi.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.